It was one Friday night. I'd been with him for a while, but I was back at home in New Orleans watching a high school football game. And I got a message from him, and we started communicating that the Ukrainians were using Starlink to get drone submarines to do a sneak Pearl Harbor-like attack on the Russian fleet in Crimea. And he said, but we're not allowing Starlink to work within 100 kilometers of the coast. I thought mistakenly that he had made that decision that night. Later, after there was a publication, he said, oh, no, that's been the policy for a while. We geofenced Crimea so it couldn't be used, so there couldn't be an attack on Crimea using Starlink.
Well, that was Walter Isaacson on Squawk Box this morning, explaining a controversial part of his new book on Elon Musk. Musk reportedly deciding he didn't want Starlink to be used in a way which could possibly start a nuclear war. But now Senator Elizabeth Warren is calling for an investigation. Others are disputing the details of this claim, the claim about Musk, that is. And joining us to help make sense of it all is Amanda Macias, CNBC's national security reporter. Amanda, welcome. What's the latest on this? What are you hearing?
Hey, Kelly and Tyler. You know, I have to say that I'm not surprised that Senator Warren is asking for this probe, because that portion of Isaacson's book sent shockwaves not only here in D.C., but also the Ukrainian capital and obviously with NATO allies who are helping to finance Starlink. Now, Isaacson explained a little bit of the details, but I'm happy to rehash. Essentially, in his book, he alleges that Elon Musk told him that he had secretly turned off Starlink satellite systems once he was made aware that the Ukrainians were going to launch a mini Pearl Harbor attack on Russia's Black Sea fleet that's stationed near Crimea. Now, Isaacson on our air today obviously said that that had not been a game day decision, that Musk had previously had a policy in place that the Starlink system would not work in Ukraine throughout the conflict. Now, this calls into question why the United States military doesn't already own something, a militarized version of Starlink, where U.S. presidents or Western governments can make these types of calls.
And so Isaacson says that really what happened was that there was an existing policy. Why did that prevented Starlink from being used by the Ukrainians or anybody else to launch such attacks in that geofenced area around Crimea, or so he says? How come the Ukrainians had not complained about that previous to this book coming out? Why hadn't we heard about this?
Right. So there is an assumption that the Ukrainians believed that once Starlink reached the country, which, by the way, was in the days after Russian troops poured over Ukrainian borders, they had assumed that Starlink was operable throughout the country and they had access to it at all points in all regions. And Elon Musk said that that actually wasn't the case. And in fact, he made that decision well in advance of this because he was worried about triggering a nuclear war. And as it's understood, the United States, alongside Russia, they own the world's nuclear weapons. And so nuclear saber rattling has been a constant concern throughout Europe and obviously here in the United States. And Elon Musk thought that he was doing this activity in the best interest for the globe in terms of not ratcheting up the conflict even further.
I thought Musk was claiming that that Starlink was not turned on in Crimea because of sanctions.
It's a constant back and forth here, and that does get to the bigger question that Senator Warren is trying to ask, as well as other Democrats who are seated on the Senate Armed Services Committee as they look at appropriations to figure out how much more money they're going to help finance for Ukraine. That why is Elon Musk the point person on foreign policy? That's what Senator Warren asked today. And Senator Durbin, who's the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, also asking why is Elon Musk calling the shots on the terms when it comes to national security matters. So that does get to a bigger statement that I reached out to the Pentagon earlier today, and I just want to read this really quickly. The Pentagon says, we are aware of the coverage and interest in this topic, and as we stated previously, the department does contract with Starlink for satellite communication services in support of our Ukrainian partners. However, due to the critical nature of these systems and for reasons of operational security, we have not released additional information regarding their specific capabilities or other operational details. They end this statement by saying, beyond that, we do not have any additional information to provide. Guys.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. It raises all kinds of very interesting questions about the ability of a business to cease doing business or stop selling or covering an area if they feel that it is a dangerous thing to continue doing business in that area. I think this one is going to be one we're going to come back to.
Absolutely. And Tyler, I just want to add that the story is up on CNBC.com. You can read excerpts from the book as well. And we're going to have a whole tech team. Musk is going to be in the Capitol tomorrow, along with a bunch of other tech executives.
We'll be watching. Thanks, Amanda. Bye-bye.